Hello, good evening. In my last video, I showed you how I could use my iPad Pro to be able to use Obsidian by connecting using VNC Viewer to a Raspberry Pi running Ubuntu Mate 20.10 64-bit that had Obsidian installed, and I could use that to create notes and to view notes. What I'm going to look at today is another way of using the iPad Pro to work with Obsidian that's also on the same Raspberry Pi, but in this case I am going to use a text editor to quickly create a note while I'm out and about, and I can do this from home or when I'm not at home. So I am using a terminal tool called Blink that I've installed on my iPad, and it's quite expensive. I think it's about £20, but it's well worth it if you're using a Raspberry Pi a lot or lots of other terminal type connections. I'm already connected to my Raspberry Pi. I'm at home, and I'm going to show you how I can make a note in Obsidian. So the first thing we need to do is we need to navigate to the folder where our Vault is sitting. And in this case, I have mounted my Google Drive within my Raspberry Pi, and that deserves a whole video of it by itself. But I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to navigate to the change directory, and I've created, it's in Home, Mac, G Drive, Obsidian. That's where my Obsidian Vault is sitting on my Google Drive. And we can check that we're in the right directory. If we do ls to display the contents of that folder, then it should display loads of markdown files. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Vim, and Vim is a text editor that works on Linux. Normally I use Nano, but I found that I was getting permission errors when I was trying to use Nano to create a note. So Vim doesn't do that. So I installed Vim by doing sudo apt-get install Vim, and I'll put a little note in the comments. And I'm going to create a new note. So one of my big use cases for using Obsidian is to keep a daily journal as a record of thoughts and feelings, just as a way of offloading and just recording what's going on. So I'm using a map of content and a bit like a Dewey Decimal System, so all my journal entries are listed in 100. It's a bit of an easier way of sorting things out. And I'm going to go to the journal, and it is 2021 03 27. You've got to put this in quotes, especially if there's a space involved. And you need to remember to put .md at the end. So markdown is basically a plain text file that's rendered to display all of the little codes in a human readable way. Right, I am in Vim now, and I've opened up that new file, and you have two modes in Vim. I'm no expert about Vim, but you've got two modes. You've got the command mode where you can tell it to do things like save or quit. And the other mode you've got is the insert mode, where you can create content. You can actually write your note. So if I press I, it turns it into the insert mode, and I'm going to make a very, very quick note. I'm not an expert on Markdown, but I know enough to be able to make a note, and also Markdown's quite easy to learn. If I put hash followed by the title of my note, in fact I generally put the name of the file as my title. Right, I'm just going to put a little bit of content in. Today I went in. Okay, right, very simple note. When you're ready to finish, you just press Control and O to go from the insert mode to the command mode, and then if you put colon W to write or save and Q to quit. Should go back to the terminal mode. And we've made our note, we've saved our note. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to looking at VNC Viewer to see if the note has been saved into my Obsidian Vault and how it displays. So I am going to go to VNC Viewer. Now what I notice is when I just save it, it's not going to just refresh it there and then. It would if I was editing the note directly within Obsidian. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close it. And I'm only doing this just to see what I've done. And I'm going to open it up again. Now this takes about a minute to load it up. Normally I would keep Obsidian open. So one thing that I would like to figure out is how to get Obsidian to refresh on a regular basis when I have created notes that I've added from elsewhere. Right, I am going to scroll down my list of notes. And you can see 100 Journal 2021. There we are. That's what it looks like in preview mode. And if I do Control and E, we can see it in edit markdown mode. And there you have it. What I did today was I SSH'd into my Raspberry Pi using the Blink application. And also what I did was I used Vim to create a new markdown note and then save it, and we could see that it was definitely on there by going in and opening up Obsidian again on the Raspberry Pi, on my Raspberry Pi, in order to see that markdown note that I just made, which is now part of my Obsidian Vault. Other things that I'd quite like to explore in future videos are how we can port forward on a router to be able to SSH, so we can do things like write our notes in Vim from wherever we are. Yeah, I'd also like to look at how we can mount a Google Drive in our Raspberry Pi to using rclone, so that we can have an Obsidian Vault in a very portable cloud storage to be able to use it on a variety of platforms that we can easily move our content around. And I know some people have been using GitHub and other cloud-based storage to keep their Obsidian Vaults, but yeah, I chose Google Drive. That's it for today. Enjoy your evening, enjoy your weekend, and I'll have another video again in a few days. Thank you. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe.